Hey guys, how are you? Hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing a review of a romance film from France, French language English subs, released in the year 2013, directed by Michael Gondry, and this film is called Mood Indigo. And the story to Mood Indigo is as follows. Mood Indigo is the surreal and poetic tale of Colin, an idealistic and inventive young man, and Chloe, a young woman. Their idyllic marriage is turned upside down when Chloe falls sick with a water lily growing in her lung. To pay for her medical bills in this fantasy version of Paris, Colin must go to work in a series of increasingly absurd jobs, while around him their apartment disintegrates and their friends, including the talented Nicholas and Chick, begin to fall to pieces. So the movie starts off in a very surreal version of Paris. It's not in the realms of this world, and Colin is the main character. He is a very inventive young man, and he falls in love with Chloe. They get married. They're very, very happy, but one day Chloe falls ill when she finds that a water lily is growing in her lungs. So she needs an urgent operation that requires a lot of money. So Colin goes to work in some increasingly absurd jobs, and he finds out that as her condition gets worse, the place around him starts to disintegrate, and those around him also begin to age very fast. So he realizes that the worse Chloe gets, the worse his life is getting. So what happens in the end and whether or not Chloe can be saved, that's something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now, my thoughts on Mood Indigo. This one is a really ambitious film. If you're a fan of his other movie, The Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind with Jim Carrey, I would highly recommend you check out Mood Indigo, because it still has that very charming sort of aspect to it, in that it's a movie with a really sweet heart. But this movie is a lot stranger. This movie reminds me of the works of Jean-Pierre Jeunet, in the fact that it's taken in a different dimension. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind was a very strange film, but it had the grounds of reality, whereas this one takes a complete turn and it goes into the world of Jean-Pierre Jeunet. So it's a world of imagination. And I really liked that aspect of it. I thought it was very, very inventive. I thought the camera angles and what they did was both funny and sweet at the same time. I love the symbolizations. Basically, the water lily in the lung was basically symbolizing cancer, and the way that the world deteriorates as she gets worse is basically like the mental condition of Colin, and also the mental condition of carers for cancer sufferers, in that you feel like your world is crumbling and falling to pieces, and that those around you are getting old, and it's basically having a really stressful sort of situation. And this one really just documents that. It illustrates the stress behind caring for someone who was gravely ill. And so I love that symbolization. It was kind of like a double meaning throughout the whole film. And so it's not just a surreal sort of epic sort of movie, but it has that symbolization that I thought was really heartwarming, because if you've ever been a sufferer, if you've ever been a cancer carer for someone, in your family that's had it, you know what it feels like when you feel your world is falling apart. And this one is basically literally falling apart for Colin. So I thought that was the best aspect of the film, was that, yes, it is a very weird film, but underneath it does have a strong message, and it really does symbolize the troubles that we have. And I love the fact that it just paints it very vividly, and that is what I'm sure a lot of people are going to appreciate. Now, the cinematography is absolutely astounding. I thought Michael Gondry shows so much imagination. As I said, it's a very creative film. There were some parts that were very, very funny. There were some parts that were very sad as well. I thought the characters were very, very colourful. Reminded me once again of Jean-Pierre Jeunet's work, in that it's just exaggerated to the point where it feels like you're almost watching a cartoon. I loved that there was that humorous element to kind of lighten the really sad moods, and towards the end I thought that was very heart-wrenching as well. The acting from all the cast was great. Omar Sy plays one of the characters. He's a great actor. He was also in the Intouchables. Also, Audrey Tautou, who played Amelie in that great film from Jean-Pierre Jeunet. She plays the main character in this one. I thought, once again, fantastic effort. And the guy who played Colin was fantastic as well. And the director allows these people to have fun with what they're doing, because the characters are also three-dimensional. There is so much to play with, and that although they're exaggerated, there's always this relatable quality that you can have in them. I thought that the pacing was very good. He gets to know Chloe very quickly. It doesn't kind of meander along in knowing unnecessary details. The pacing really knows where it's going, and I thought that you do get a connection with these characters. Although they're very quirky, you like them, and then when these bad things start happening, you start to feel really sorry for them. So my only problem with the movie is that I thought it got a little bit too quirky in some parts. I thought that, yeah, it's good to be inventive, but sometimes you think to yourself, well, this is just ridiculous. There weren't too many of those moments, thankfully, but there were some where I was just thinking, what the hell was going on there? And yes, as I said, it's good to be quirky, but sometimes you can go over the line a little bit. And I thought Michael Gondry went over the line for the sake of just being quirky, being a little bit weird. And it kind of it makes you scratch your head thinking, well, yeah, that was cool, but it didn't need that. The story was going smoothly enough, and then all of a sudden it takes a left turn and it goes for something really silly. And yes, it's funny in some areas, but it just doesn't feel like it matches the overall film and the pacing that it had. So there were bits and pieces that I didn't like, but fortunately overall, the soundtrack was absolutely fantastic. I loved it. A very European, very French sort of feel that the movie has. As I said, if you're a fan of Jean-Pierre Jeunet, you're going to like Mood Indigo. If you like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Michael Gondry's other film, then you're going to like Mood Indigo. I think this is a more ambitious film than Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, but it's equally as creative, and it's definitely a movie that you will experience. So overall, for Mood Indigo, barring the silly sort of moments that are here and there, I thought it was very enjoyable, and it's one that I am going to be recommending. So overall, for this movie, I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. If you're a fan of French film, then this one is definitely one to check out. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.